radio station. But don't forget, you can watch us too. We are on your computer, your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. You'll see that we're coming to you live today from the Max in Meridian. It is for the 72nd annual Jimmie Rodgers Music Festival. Again, that is America's longest running music festival, and that is thanks to some great sponsors, and we got one of them with us today. First Mississippi Federal Credit Union. Man, they're up to some good things all year long. We got Jerome here with us to talk about that. But first, Jerome, you gave me this great hand, and I've always wanted to give the finger on the radio.
I mean, I'm just here to help. That's all I can say.
I hope you're watching over at SuperTalk TV. It's not what you think. It's a family show, guys. But yes, I love it. It made my day. But we appreciate you being here, but also all that you guys do. So you were here with us last year too, and y'all are still boots on the ground, helping people get financial freedom. But how do y'all do that? How do you tell people that the Federal Credit Union helps with that?
Well, so our focus is financial literacy and well-being, and you know, in a market that is in a persistent poverty swath like we are here in this part of the state, you know, that doesn't mean anything. Financial literacy kind of hits the wall. So we drilled it down to your power, your money. And, of course, that's a fun show on SuperTalk.
It is.
103.3. And
when does that come on, Jerome?
It is on Friday mornings at 9:06. And my second in command, my secret weapon, Crystal Clark, is the co-host, and we are just as cute as we can be. And we're out there really trying to empower people about their money, giving them some skills to, to live a better life. Being in control of your money really just makes things better. Right?
Do you find that some of that foundational education is just skipped over, or is it just
totally missing? And I'm old, and I say this all the time. You know, they taught us how to write checks and deposits, and we counted coins and bills, and that's just vacant now, and people have no idea what it's about. So we start with the Ramsey Foundation's curriculum. So the 4 walls are the first thing that you go with: food, shelter, clothing, transportation. Once you've got those accounted for in your budget, then whatever you have left is what you do entertainment and buy hot Cheetos with, that sort of thing. But, really budgeting is the key, and being in control through being aware of what's going on, how much money you spend, how much money you need to pay on your bills. And I'm, horrible with money. I am the perfect person to host a show about financial literacy because, I'm right there in the trenches.
Well, when I think about, my other hat, thinking about people's well-being, one of the things that come in is just stress management. Well, you don't think about all the things that fall into that. And for so many people, even listening to good things, stressing about money, is one of the things that then feeds over into so many other parts of your life. When you can't think straight in that area, you can't necessarily always think you're in a survival mode.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so being in control of your money and understanding, where it all goes. I mean, that's the big thing for me is what happens. I make this money and I'm married, and I don't see anything. It's all gone. And I believe she pays the bills and covers the 4 walls.
Are the lights still on? Nobody's turned that on for you?
On. But no, it's sometimes it's not a good thing. You feel stressed about where you are financially, but we do a lot of things to help give people the skills. Like we're doing a whole show this week on side hustles.
Which is a big thing.
It's a huge thing.
But you have to pay your taxes.
Well, you do. That's another interesting point. I need to add that into the show. I don't want you to call me up and go, listen, what about those taxes?
It's funny, though, people who have side hustles for the first time, you get all this extra money in and you get excited about it. And then it comes time to do your taxes and you're like, I got,
here we go.
Here we go, yeah.
Well, it's very interesting to me, the black community in particular, my demographic here in Meridian at First Mississippi, those folks side hustle like nobody's business. I think, people my age that look like me, well, we just kind of expect I go to work and I get a check and I'm good. But today, that's not it. Everything costs so much and it's hard to manage your money. So, being in control of it is the key. And you're right. The financial well-being part comes after you don't have these burdens of how am I going to pay my bills. And using like the Ramsey criteria is beautiful because, I'm sorry, I never thought about that. But, food, clothing, shelter, and transportation. Those are the basics before you go to Chick-fil-A.
Oh, yes.
Now, Chick-fil-A is delicious. Don't get me wrong. If y'all are listening, send us some chicken. Right?
It's very economical on Sundays.
Is it? It is on. That's the time I really want to go. Tell me about that. I don't. Was that your decision, or
No.
were you a Katie, or you heir to the Katie fortune?
No, not at all.
No, but it's we find that just taking control and being aware, it just makes your whole outlook better. And here's the thing: if you're in control, you can plan a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
You can get that new car or a newer car. You can, maybe we encourage young folks a lot to find that side hustle, whether it's a lemonade stand or cutting grass or, delivering food.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things out there. If you can write, there's a lot of websites that you can proof and generate, copy.
What age would the First Mississippi Federal Credit Union recommend you either start talking with your kids about money or opening up? I don't know if y'all do savings accounts or checking accounts or that, but what's that good age?
It's just as soon as they can reach their hand out and take your money. It is.
Because now they really like to put your card in the thing and pull it out because they think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
You're like, yes.
Give me the card. Give me the card. But no, we started in elementary in terms of the schools. But one of the things we're trying to empower parents with are things like loud budgeting. So the idea that keeping up with the Joneses is really all I want to do. Mm-hmm. Your family, your kids, they may not understand why you're not going out to eat or why you're not planning a vacation like the Joneses, or maybe you don't have that new cell phone. So,
there's a lot of reasons. So, the budget could be one of the first that you throw out at them.
But the loud budgeting concept is you share that with your family. Mm-hmm. So, hey, I'd like a bag of hot Cheetos. Well, I'm sorry, we can't afford that today because we got to pay these bills. Ingraining those concepts as early as you can makes a huge difference.
We're big on that in our house too, Jerome, and I'll never forget when she went into the store. I think she had a $20 bill and she was terrible about not doing, and she was old enough to do math.
Yeah.
Anyway, she got to the counter and it was over what she had, and she looked at me and I said, "Nobody comes to save me
That's
when
right.
I don't have enough money. It looks like you're gonna have to put some things back."
Yep.
And of course she was devastated, and but it wasn't things she needed. I mean, I would have covered anything that she needed, but it was knickknacks and things, and so she had to learn that hard lesson, and it hadn't happened to her since.
I see.
How could we get
all
it
you
math?
need is that little shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you understand why it's happening. I love the story of, in church, you tell your kids, don't run, right? So as soon as you're out of their eye shot, they're running, right? Well, because you didn't explain to them why.
Right.
Miss Turner is getting older, and if you run in the hall, you might knock her over, and she could fall and break a hip or an arm or hurt herself. So giving them those, details and skills helps them make a better decision. So we find with financial literacy, again, your power is in controlling your money.
People listening to Good Things, is there services that First Mississippi Federal Credit Union has for everybody?
Sure, absolutely.
That they can take part of?
Well, that's interesting you say that. We're a member organization, so there's a share you pay, but we have a little program where we have these cool little First Mississippi bucks. So this gives you $25 to cover your share, and then puts $5 in a starter account. So when we're in the school systems, we'll pass these out when we're at events, and this is a way to get someone to open an account so all those other services are there. ACH transfers, remote deposit capture, all the things that you see on the internet, financial networks. Again, Chime and Apple Pay, and they are now acquiescing to being, protected by a bank. But a lot of times if you're using one of these online banks and something goes wrong with your money, it's stolen. Sorry. The FDIC protects banks, NCUA protects credit unions up to $250,000. So being aware there can really make a big difference.
And we can learn more about what you guys do in financial literacy again on Fridays here on SuperTalk, especially on the Meridian station, or...
Yeah. Well, you can go to supertalk.fm, search Your Power, Your Money, and our podcast content is there all the time. We're at 41 episodes this week.
And this week's topic, it's like sessions. Like we're going to class.
It's okay. This week is really about side hustles. And really kind of laying out, the obvious ones, the online ones, the things you need skills to do. Really just throwing ideas out there to help people find ways that they can make a little extra money. Now, my second, Crystal Clark, my rock star secret weapon, she bakes cakes. I don't know when. I don't know how she has time. But I'll send you a picture of one of her cakes. We're not talking just a cake. This has, pictures and
Yeah, a couple
3D
hundred
effects.
extra dollars a month can do you a world of difference.
So I think she doesn't sleep,
Or more.
and she just gets up and makes cakes all night. But again, that's when you are looking at the amount of money you make and how you want to continue your life and live your life, right? You got to have that little bit of extra, so that's the way to get it.
That's the way to get it. And
Yeah.
if we want more information, where do we get it, Jerome?
1stms.com, firstmississippi.com, or you can go to supertalk.fm and listen to our show. Your power, your money, anytime.
I love that. All right, you guys stick with us. We got more good things for you coming.